What happens when 18 years of expertise gets dismissed with a single email? Today, I'm sharing the story of Alvin Curtis and how one corporation's greed nearly destroyed an entire city's digital infrastructure. This is a story about loyalty, betrayal, and the dangerous cost of treating experience as expendable. The email arrived at 4:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Subject line: Immediate restructuring, report to HR. My name is Alvin Curtis, and until that moment, I was the Senior Network Operations Manager for the City of Millbrook's IT department. 43 years old, 18 years of service, and the architect of every digital system that kept our city of 180,000 people connected to the modern world. 18 years. That's how long I'd been the invisible guardian of Millbrook's digital heartbeat. Traffic lights, emergency services, water treatment facilities, municipal databases, public Wi-Fi networks, city council live streams. All of it flowed through systems I'd built, maintained, and protected. Now I was sitting across from Sandra Walsh, HR Director, and Marcus Chen, the new Chief Technology Officer who'd arrived just 3 months ago with his pristine MBA and zero understanding of municipal infrastructure. Alvin, Sandra began, her voice carefully neutral. The city has decided to modernize our IT operations through a partnership with TechFlow Solutions. Your position is being eliminated as part of this digital transformation initiative. I stared at Marcus, who couldn't meet my eyes. At 35, he was 8 years younger than me, hired from a private consulting firm that specialized in optimizing municipal technology spending. His first act had been to commission a comprehensive audit of our systems. His second had been to ignore every recommendation I'd made during that audit. TechFlow will be implementing a cloud-based municipal management platform, Marcus continued, finally looking up from his tablet. It's a more cost-effective solution that eliminates the need for extensive local infrastructure management. Translation: They were firing me and outsourcing my job to some tech company that promised to do everything cheaper. The severance package is generous. Sandra slid a folder across the table. 4 months' salary, continued health benefits, and a standard non-disclosure agreement. We'll need your access credentials and security clearance revoked immediately. I opened the folder, scanning the documents. Standard corporate language, but something was missing. There's no non-compete clause, I observed. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. The legal department deemed it unnecessary given the specialized nature of municipal systems. Mistake number 1. I signed the papers, handed over my badge and keys, and walked out of City Hall for what I thought was the last time. 18 years of 12-hour days, weekend emergencies, and sleeping with my phone next to my pillow in case a critical system failed. Gone with a 45-minute meeting. But here's what Marcus and his consultants didn't understand. Municipal IT isn't like corporate IT. You can't just swap out systems like you're changing software on a laptop. Cities are living, breathing organisms with decades of accumulated digital DNA. Every connection, every database, every fail-safe I'd built had a reason, usually learned through crisis. I'd started at Millbrook fresh out of college, back when our network consisted of a handful of desktop computers and a dial-up connection to the state database. I'd grown up with the city, building systems piece by piece, crisis by crisis. The flood of 2011 that took out our primary data center. I jerry-rigged a backup system using equipment from 3 different vendors. The cyber attack of 2016 that targeted our water treatment facility. I'd spent 72 hours straight rebuilding firewalls and securing endpoints. Every system had a story. Every connection had a purpose. And none of it was documented in a way that would make sense to someone who hadn't lived through it. I went home to my small apartment on Oak Street and opened a beer. My phone was already buzzing with messages from city employees who'd heard the news. Gary from Public Works wanted to know who would handle the traffic light synchronization system. Maria from the library asked about the integrated database that connected all branch locations. Dr. Peterson from the health department needed clarification on the encrypted patient record system. I didn't answer any of them. My severance agreement was clear about unauthorized assistance. Instead, I updated my resume for the first time in 18 years and started browsing job listings. Municipal IT positions were rare, but I found a few possibilities in neighboring counties. I was in the middle of crafting a cover letter when my phone rang. Alvin? The voice was familiar. Janet Morrison, Emergency Services Coordinator. I'm calling from my personal phone. Did you really get fired? Laid off, I corrected. Budget restructuring. Jesus, Alvin. Do you know what this means? You're the only one who understands how our emergency dispatch system connects to the hospital network. What if there's a major incident? I'd helped design that system 7 years ago after a train derailment revealed critical communication gaps between first responders and medical facilities. It was a custom solution that integrated radio dispatch, GPS tracking, hospital bed availability, and real-time traffic data. No commercial system could replicate it. I'm sure Marcus and his team have everything under control, I said carefully. Janet was quiet for a moment. Alvin, I've been doing this job for 12 years. I've never seen anyone work as hard as you do to keep this city running. This is a mistake. After hanging up, I sat in the dark for a while, thinking about the call. Janet was right. It was a mistake. But not the kind that would be obvious immediately. The real problems would surface slowly, like cracks in a foundation that take years to bring down the whole house. 3 days later, the first crack appeared. I was in my kitchen making coffee when my phone started buzzing with text messages. Sarah from the city clerk's office. Voting system down. Election tomorrow. Help? Tom from Public Works. Traffic lights on Main Street stuck on red, causing massive backup. Dr. Peterson. Health dep database corrupted. Can't access patient records. I set down my coffee cup and counted the messages. 17 different departments, all reporting system failures, all begging for help from someone who was no longer authorized to provide it. My phone rang. Marcus Chen. Alvin, I know this is awkward, but we're experiencing some technical difficulties. TechFlow's transition team is working on it, but they could use some guidance on the legacy systems. What kind of difficulties? Well, the voter registration database seems to be incompatible with their new platform, and there's an issue with the traffic management system. Also, the emergency services dispatch is showing errors. I almost laughed. These weren't difficulties. They were catastrophic failures. The voting system ran on a specialized, secure network I'd built specifically for elections. The traffic management system used proprietary hardware that required custom drivers. The emergency dispatch system was so integrated with city infrastructure that removing it would be like performing surgery with a chainsaw. I'm sure TechFlow has everything under control, I said, using Marcus's own words from our termination meeting. After all, they're the experts in municipal systems. Alvin, please, we need... I hung up. An hour later, my doorbell rang. Marcus stood on my porch, looking like he hadn't slept in days. We need to talk, he said. I let him in, curious to see how desperate he'd gotten. The TechFlow transition has hit some unexpected obstacles, he began. Their platform works great for most municipal functions, but some of your custom integrations are proving challenging to replicate. Such as? The emergency services system crashed yesterday. We had to route 911 calls through the county dispatch for 6 hours. The mayor is furious. I nodded. What else? The water treatment facility monitoring system. TechFlow says it's not compatible with their cloud platform. They want to install new sensors, but that could take months. And the traffic lights? Marcus rubbed his forehead. Half the city is stuck in gridlock. The timing algorithms you programmed were apparently more complex than we realized. I leaned back in my chair. So what exactly are you asking me to do? We'd like to offer you a 6-month consulting contract. Double your previous salary. Help us transition the critical systems properly. The offer was insulting. They'd fired me, destroyed the infrastructure I'd spent 18 years building, and now wanted to pay me to fix their mess. I'm afraid I can't help you, I said. I've already accepted another position. Marcus's face went pale. Another position? Where? Riverside County just offered me the position of IT director. Better pay, better benefits, and they actually value experience over buzzwords. This was partly true. Riverside County had reached out after hearing about my situation, but I hadn't accepted yet. I was still considering my options. Alvin, be reasonable. You built these systems. You know them better than anyone. The city needs you. The city fired me, I reminded him. You told me I was outdated and inefficient. Remember? Marcus stood up, frustration replacing desperation. This is about revenge, isn't it? You're willing to let the city suffer because your feelings were hurt. I walked to the door and opened it. This is about consequences, Marcus. When you treat 18 years of expertise as disposable, you live with the results. After he left, I called Riverside County back and accepted their offer. The next morning, I woke up to find my story on the front page of the Millbrook Herald. City systems collapse following IT layoffs. The article detailed the cascading failures that had paralyzed municipal operations. Emergency services disrupted, traffic chaos, voting systems down one day before a crucial election. But the story went deeper than just technical failures. Investigative reporter Karen Walsh had uncovered the real reason behind my termination. TechFlow had offered the city a sweetheart deal on their municipal cloud solution, but only if Millbrook eliminated their internal IT department entirely. The deal included a substantial efficiency bonus, for any city official who helped implement the transition. Marcus stood to receive a $50,000 bonus if he successfully outsourced the city's IT operations within 6 months. My firing wasn't about modernization or budget cuts. It was about greed. The revelation triggered a city council emergency session. I watched the live stream from my apartment, noting with grim satisfaction that the video quality was terrible because no one knew how to properly configure the streaming equipment. Council member Patricia Hayes was furious. We were told this transition would be seamless. Instead, we have a city that can't function and an election that may have to be postponed. Mayor Thompson looked exhausted. What are our options for restoring services? Marcus, sitting at the defendant's table, looked like he wanted to disappear. TechFlow is working around the clock to resolve the compatibility issues. They estimate full restoration within 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks? Councilmember Rodriguez slammed his hand on the table. We have an election tomorrow. We have emergency services running on backup systems. This is unacceptable. Patricia Hayes leaned forward. Mr. Chen, was Mr. Curtis's termination related to the TechFlow contract? Marcus hesitated. The restructuring was part of our broader modernization initiative. That's not what I asked. Did TechFlow require the elimination of internal IT staff as part of their proposal? The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Finally, Marcus nodded. And did you personally stand to benefit financially from this arrangement? Another pause. Another nod. The council voted unanimously to terminate the TechFlow contract and launch an investigation into the procurement process. They also voted to offer me whatever it would take to return as emergency IT director. I declined. By then, I was already 3 days into my new job at Riverside County, working with a team that actually understood the value of institutional knowledge. My first project was designing a disaster recovery system that would prevent exactly the kind of catastrophic failure that had just crippled Millbrook. But the story wasn't over. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Patricia Hayes. "Alvin, I know you've moved on, but I thought you should know. We found something in Marcus's office." "What kind of something?" "Documentation. Emails between Marcus and TechFlow dating back 6 months before you were fired. They'd been planning this transition for half a year, waiting for the right moment to eliminate your position." I sat down heavily. "What kind of emails?" "Marcus had been feeding TechFlow detailed information about our systems, supposedly for compatibility assessment. But the emails show he was also reporting on your work patterns, your security protocols, even your vacation schedule. The betrayal was complete. Marcus hadn't just fired me. He'd been systematically undermining my work for months, gathering intelligence for the company that would replace me." "There's more," Patricia continued. "TechFlow has done this before. We found evidence of similar takeovers in 7 other municipalities. They target experienced IT managers, manufacture crises to justify outsourcing, then charge premium rates for services that barely function." I thought about the other cities, the other IT professionals who'd been discarded like obsolete hardware. How many communities had suffered because corporate greed was disguised as innovation? "What happens now?" I asked. "Marcus was terminated this morning. The city attorney is exploring fraud charges, and we're implementing new procurement policies to prevent this from happening again." "And your systems?" Patricia sighed. "We hired an emergency consulting firm to restore basic functionality. It's costing us 3 times what we paid you annually, and we're still only at about 60% capacity. The election had to be postponed by a week." After hanging up, I realized something had changed. For 18 years, I'd been invisible when things worked perfectly. My sleepless nights, my constant vigilance, my expertise, all of it was taken for granted until it was gone. Now, 6 months later, I was building something new at Riverside County. A system designed not just to function, but to be resilient. A team trained not just to maintain, but to innovate. A culture that valued experience alongside fresh perspectives. But sometimes, late at night, I still get calls from Millbrook City employees. Not asking for help. They know I can't provide it. But just to talk. To someone who remembers when the city's digital infrastructure was something to be proud of instead of endured. The traffic lights still malfunction regularly. The emergency dispatch system has been temporarily replaced with a commercial service that costs 4 times what my custom solution did. The water treatment monitoring system was finally restored, but without the predictive algorithms I'd developed over years of optimization. Millbrook functions, but it doesn't thrive. The digital ecosystem I'd cultivated for 18 years has been replaced with generic solutions that work well enough for most purposes, but fail catastrophically when stressed. And Marcus? Last I heard, he'd taken a position with TechFlow's business development team, helping them identify new municipal targets for digital transformation. Some people never learn. But here's what I learned. Experience isn't just about knowing how to fix things when they break. It's about building systems that don't break in the first place. It's about understanding that behind every technical decision is a human impact. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most innovative approach is simply respecting what already works. My badge from Riverside County sits on my desk now, next to a photo of my new team. We're working on something bigger than just maintaining systems. We're building digital infrastructure that serves people, not profit margins. And when young IT professionals ask me for advice, I tell them this: document everything, trust selectively, and remember that your expertise has value. Don't let anyone convince you that experience is obsolete, because sooner or later, when the buzzwords fade and the consultants move on to their next target, someone will need to keep the lights on. And that someone better know what they're doing. This story is a reminder that behind every system, every network, every digital service we rely on, there are people like Alvin Curtis, people who work in the shadows, keeping our world connected and functional. Their expertise isn't just valuable, it's irreplaceable. What do you think? Have you ever witnessed corporate greed disguised as innovation? Share your thoughts in the comments below.